How do you make your enemies fear you? Without threats, without shouting, without saying a single word. Imagine you're in a high-stakes negotiation. The person across from you is talking, over-explaining, trying to get a reaction. But you just sit there, silent, composed, unreadable. And then suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. They start second-guessing themselves. You've already won. That's the power of being unreadable. When people don't know what you're thinking, they fear what you might do next. Today we'll break down Stoic strategies that will give you an unshakable presence, one that makes your enemies question themselves before they ever challenge you. 1. Master your emotions. The most powerful weapon you have isn't aggression, it's control. When someone tries to provoke you, the natural reaction is to lash out. But then what if I told you that showing anger exposes weakness? If your enemy can control your emotions, they control you. You see, the Stoics understood this long ago. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." One of the greatest displays of emotional control was by Abraham Lincoln. Throughout his presidency, Lincoln was often insulted, ridiculed, and underestimated. Even members of his own cabinet doubted him. Yet he rarely responded with anger. Instead, he listened, remained composed, and made decisions based on logic, not emotion. To everyone's surprise, one of his biggest political rivals, Edwin Stanton, repeatedly mocked Lincoln, calling him names and undermining him. But Lincoln didn't retaliate. Instead, when the time came to appoint a Secretary of War, Lincoln chose Stanton because he was the best man for the job. Suddenly, over time, Stanton grew to admire Lincoln deeply, and at Lincoln's funeral, he famously said, "Now he belongs to the ages." In other words, that's the power of emotional control. It turns enemies into allies and leaves a legacy of respect. Picture this. A man I know, let's call him Thomas, worked with someone who constantly tried to provoke him. At first, Thomas reacted. He argued, defended himself, and let his emotions take over. And then, all of a sudden, he realized something shocking. Every time he reacted, he handed power to his enemy. So without delay, he stopped engaging. The next time he was provoked, he stayed silent, calm, and indifferent. At that precise instant, the dynamic shifted. His enemy became frustrated. With each passing second, their attempts to provoke him lost power. And very soon after, they stopped trying. No one was expecting this, but they couldn't get a reaction, and that unsettled them more than any comeback ever could. So how do you master your emotions? First of all, recognize your triggers. Once you understand what sets you off, you gain control over your response. Next, practice deep breathing, because in tense moments, a single breath can mean the difference between reaction and composure. And finally, embrace this truth. Emotional control isn't weakness, it's power. When you refuse to let emotions dictate your actions, you hold all the cards. 2. Maintain an unshakable presence. Confidence isn't about talking, it's about presence. The strongest people in any room don't need to announce their power, they exude it. When you walk into a room with quiet confidence, people feel it. Posture, movement, and energy, these are your tools. Stand tall, move deliberately, and never fidget. Lao Tzu said, "Silence is a source of great strength." That's because silence commands attention. The less you say, the more people read into your presence. They start to wonder, what is he thinking? What is he planning? And that uncertainty breeds fear. Let's talk about Michael Jordan. Undoubtedly one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Jordan wasn't just feared for his skill, he was feared for his presence. He didn't have to trash talk or boast. His confidence was unshakable. Opponents would look into his eyes and see nothing but certainty, an almost unsettling level of self-assurance. And then, during crucial moments, he would remain calm, composed, and in control. Never rattled, never intimidated. Because of this, players knew that no matter what, Jordan was always a step ahead. His presence alone changed the dynamics of the game, forcing opponents to second-guess themselves before they even made a move. But then there's another legendary figure, Warren Buffett. This will blow your mind, but despite being one of the richest men on the planet, Buffett never needed to flaunt his wealth or power. Instead, his quiet confidence and unwavering patience made people respect and fear his influence. In fact, during financial downturns when others panicked, Buffett remained composed. At that precise instant when the world was crumbling around him, he made calculated decisions that turned crises into opportunities. Consequently, his ability to remain steady while others faltered solidified his reputation as an unstoppable force in the financial world. A man I know, let's call him Ethan, was never the loudest in the room. But when he spoke, people listened. Not because he demanded attention, but because he carried himself with an aura of certainty. He never rushed his words. He never fidgeted. And when he locked eyes with someone, they felt it. People respect what they can't shake. So how do you build this presence? First, stand with purpose. Shoulders back, head high, no slouching. Second, move deliberately. Every action should have intent. And finally, embrace silence. The more comfortable you are in silence, the more others will feel your presence. 3. Let your actions speak. In a world of empty promises, words mean nothing. What you do is what people remember. The Stoics believed in action over talk. Epictetus said, "Do not explain your philosophy, embody it." That means stop telling people what you'll do. Just do it. Let's talk about Steve Jobs. He was a visionary, yet he didn't spend time boasting about what he was going to do. Instead, he let his actions define him. When Apple was on the brink of failure, Jobs didn't go around making grand claims. He went to work. Through sheer determination and execution, he transformed Apple into one of the most valuable companies in history. He didn't just speak innovation, he embodied it. As a result, people respected him not for what he said, but for what he accomplished. As the plot thickened, consider the story of Elon Musk. Despite constant skepticism, he never spent time defending his ideas with empty words. Instead, he focused on proving people wrong through action. When people doubted Tesla, he didn't argue. He built the most successful electric vehicle company. And then, when critics dismissed SpaceX as an unrealistic dream, he worked tirelessly to revolutionize space travel. Suddenly, to everyone's surprise, Musk had changed multiple industries simply by letting his work do the talking. His story is a testament to the power of perseverance and silent execution. But then, there's another legendary figure, Muhammad Ali. This will blow your mind, but despite being known for his words, Ali understood that talk was nothing without action. Out of nowhere, he would taunt his opponents with bold predictions. But what made him truly feared was that he backed up every single word with action. At that precise instant, when he stepped into the ring, his presence, skill, and execution silenced every critic. What's more, his training and discipline spoke volumes, far louder than any verbal exchange ever could. Consequently, he became one of the most respected and feared athletes in history. Jack, a man I once knew, was always talking about his big plans. But months passed and nothing changed. People stopped listening. And then, all of a sudden, he realized something. His words were meaningless without results. So he changed his approach. Without delay, he stopped announcing, stopped explaining, and just started working. At that precise instant, his entire trajectory shifted. With each passing day, he put in consistent effort, and very soon after, success followed. No one was expecting this, but when they finally saw the results, they respected him in a way they never had before. So how do you apply this? First of all, focus on consistency. Tiny actions done daily create unstoppable momentum. Next, strive for excellence, because the world respects results, not effort. Additionally, remove the need for external validation. The less you talk and the more you do, the stronger your presence becomes. And finally, let success speak for itself. When you stop talking and start doing, people notice. In fact, they won't just notice. They'll admire you for it. Fourth, never overreact to insults. In life, people will insult you. They'll try to get a reaction, hoping to pull you into their emotional chaos. But then, here's the truth. Reacting emotionally gives them power. Every time you get angry, defensive, or frustrated, you hand control over to the person who insulted you. You see, the Stoics taught that our emotions are within our control. Opinions and actions of others, not so much. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The moment you stop reacting to insults, you take back your power. Think about the great philosopher Socrates. He was often insulted and mocked, yet he remained indifferent. When someone called him a fool, he simply shrugged. Why? Because he knew that his worth wasn't dictated by someone else's opinion. His lack of reaction frustrated his opponents because they couldn't control him. At that precise instant, the power shifted. But then consider modern public figures like Barack Obama. Throughout his presidency, critics attacked him relentlessly. Yet all of a sudden, rather than retaliate, he remained composed, unfazed. Consequently, this calm demeanor made him appear even stronger. To everyone's surprise, his refusal to react emotionally made his opponents look weak by comparison. Just moments later, a similar example can be seen in the world of sports. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest footballers of all time, has been the subject of countless criticisms and insults from fans, opponents, and media alike. Yet he rarely lets emotions take control. Instead of arguing, he delivers results on the field. With each passing second, he proves that his actions speak louder than words. So how do you practice this? First of all, embrace self-awareness. When someone insults you, pause. Take a deep breath. Don't react immediately. Next, assess the situation. Is their opinion even worth considering? Most likely it's not. Additionally, remind yourself that reacting emotionally only gives them what they want. And finally, embrace indifference. When you remain unaffected, you rob them of their power over you. At the end of the day, the strongest people aren't the ones who argue back. In contrast, they're the ones who don't need to. Ultimately, true power lies in self-control, not in proving yourself to others. 5. Control what they know about you. Knowledge is power. The more people know about you, your goals, weaknesses, insecurities, or emotional triggers, the easier it is for them to manipulate you. But when you control what people know, you remain unpredictable, unshakable, and untouchable. And then, just moments later, you'll find that by keeping others in the dark, you protect yourself from unnecessary threats. One of the greatest military strategists in history, Sun Tzu, understood this concept deeply. In The Art of War, he advised, "Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak." This strategy confused enemies, making it impossible for them to predict his next move. At that precise instant, when they believed they had the advantage, he would strike. Consequently, this unpredictability made him nearly undefeatable. The same principle applies to life. For instance, think about Bruce Wayne, the fictional billionaire behind Batman. He lets the world see a careless, playboy image. Yet unbeknownst to everyone, he's one of the most disciplined, strategic, and powerful figures in Gotham. What's more, by cultivating this persona, he prevents his enemies from targeting his true strengths. No one was expecting this, but his ability to control what others perceive about him is what makes him truly dangerous. And then take Warren Buffett. This will blow your mind, but despite his immense wealth, Buffett lives modestly, avoiding unnecessary attention. Out of nowhere, he makes financial moves that shock the world, all because people underestimated his intentions. Moreover, his unpredictability makes him a financial force no one can easily manipulate. To put it differently, he understands that revealing too much about his plans would give his competitors the upper hand. Now let's look at another example, Julius Caesar. At the height of his power, he carefully controlled what people knew about his military campaigns. He misled rivals, concealed strategies, and kept his true ambitions hidden. As a result, his ability to manipulate perception allowed him to outmaneuver enemies who thought they had him figured out. So how do you apply this? First of all, be mindful of what you share. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, plans, or vulnerabilities. Additionally, embrace mystery. The less people know about your strengths, the harder it is for them to use them against you. Furthermore, use your unpredictability strategically. Keep people guessing, and you'll always have the upper hand. In conclusion, true power doesn't come from what people think they know about you. It comes from what they never see coming. True power isn't about volume, it's about control. The Stoics knew this. They knew that silence, presence, and action speak louder than words. So if you want to make your enemies fear you, don't tell them. Show them. If this resonated with you, hit like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And remember, the most powerful man in the room is often the one who says the least.